Well, here he is. It is a Thursday edition of the Mike Garafolo Show, brought to you by Hartley & Hartley Insurance, family-owned and operated second-generation independent insurance agency.
You're not paying me enough.
It's been servicing the Puget Sound area since 1978. They promise honesty, fairness, integrity. Contact Jamie at 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. They got their new summer hours. Visit them on their Facebook page, also Instagram. We're inside the Puck Sports Studios. It is built by Limback Lumber. Mike is at home. He's not at the beach house. Sir, how you doing? How's your summer going?
We're back on the grind, brother. What summer? What summer? It's over.
It's already over. Hey, you are a viral sensation. Can we just start there?
Sure. What
Look
would you
at
like to know?
You're everywhere. You're all Pelicero's filling in for the Rich Eisen show. You're playing golf. No disrespect to that goat track where you were playing. My God, train tracks, power lines. I thought I saw a hobo, somebody shooting up. I mean, my God, that was what kind of track was that you were on? And then
Skyway,
in the middle of it, you're breaking the news on Brandon Aiyuk.
I thought this was the Mike Garafolo show. Am I going to get out? Am I going to work in here? It's Skyway Golf. When did Skyway open? Because this is actually Skyway Golf Course in Jersey City, which is tucked in. They call it like Lincoln Park West. They try to make it sound like but it's tucked in between was that Newark Bay? George, George is here.
Shout out George.
George from Missouri.
George Costanza? What do we got?
No, George is here. He's with a J, George. Okay. So it's really Jorge then, I assume, right? So,
Jorge,
but he's George. By his choosing, not mine. Don't take that the wrong way. So I don't know if you know your geography. Is that Newark Bay? It's right by. Let me see on the. So Skyway was opened it used to be a driving range, and it was a rat-infested driving range, if I recall correctly. And they opened it up in 2015, and it's between these lumber yards. You got a lumber sign right there behind you. You got these lumber yards or whatever. You got semis going truck horns going off.
It looked like where the mafia buries people.
It's in right. Yes, exactly. Like when Pesci says in Goodfellas that he's lying in the weeds in Secaucus, the way he says it, Secaucus, that's pretty much where we're talking here. It's Jersey City, though, and if you look, on the ninth hole is a par 3, and if you look to your left, it's just the most vile-looking, again, I don't know if it's Newark Bay or whatever it is right there. It's the Hackensack River. So, all that being said, it's unbelievably well kept. And between where it is, the location of it, the fact that a lot of times you open these county courses and then they go to crap, and this is one of the places where people don't fix ball marks and they don't fill in their. I mean, which annoyed me yesterday, because yesterday, the course is pretty much, it was so hot here, pretty much wide open. There was a kids camp, and I hit my ball into the other fairway. I was already pissed about doing that. So I cut across. You're not supposed to do that. So I cut across one of the cut across between the holes. And I drive by this dude. I was like, oh, crap. It was one of the dudes who, I don't know, works the course or whatever. And he's got these kids, and he's teaching them how to chip. And I'm like, this guy's going to say something. And as I pass him, he doesn't say anything. So I'm like, oh, I got away with that one. And as I'm driving and I stop the cart, up the next fairway, I hear him yelling. And I kind of give him, my bad. I know what I did. My bad. And I turn back, I go to get a club, and he's still yelling. And I go, hey, my bad. Let it go. It's over. I'm yelling this, because now I'm pissed. I'm doubly pissed. And, so he's like, and so another guy comes up as we're up on the next hole. Hey, you guys need to stay on your own. Okay, fine, whatever. He went and told on me and sent somebody, get out of here. So that's what pissed me off is, we gave him some love the day before because the Aiyuk thing happened on the second tee or the third tee, I want to say, and it just ruined the round. At that point, I know I'm not scoring. I'm just out there swinging. And Pelicero's like, I'm on the Rich Eisen show. I'm host. Can you come? I'm like, I'll do it, but I ain't stopping, right? When it's time to hit a shot, I'm hitting a shot.
That was the best part is you hitting the driver. You had you hit a driver.
Yeah.
And it's all
No,
over.
I hit a 3-wood because driver's too much on that hole. And the reason I said, I saw a comment when Barstool posted, a guy goes, "Hey, you're hitting 3-wood off the tee." How about you shut up and, like, do a little research, go online, see that the hole is like 320 yards, and be like, oh, guy who's played there before knows how to play that hole, which I almost chipped in for birdie. So shut your mouth. This is why I don't read comments.
Hey, pull out the driver and try to drive the green, though. What are we doing? It's 320.
No, you can't do that because there's water. So you're putting it in the water. There's a reason why I hit 3-wood, and I was dead center, perfect position.
Well, you had it.
Hit up. Yeah, go ahead. They missed the best shot.
You had a great timing of it because you hit it, and then you bend down, you pick up your tee, and you're like, yeah, that'll play.
That'll play.
It was great. It was phenomenal.
So, I go around the corner to the pizza place around the corner to the guys at Mario's, big Jets fans. I've done videos and social stuff with them before. We play golf all the time, and they tell me that they got a cheaper rate because they did their YouTube video on their scramble. They told I said they said, I'm totally cool with it, no problem. He said, but they gave us a cheaper rate. He's like, it was like $20 with a card for all. I was like, for what? Like because you were giving them pub on your YouTube thing? I mean, we were on the Rich Eisen show and Barstool and all full announcing, and I paid full price and got yelled at because I drove on the wrong fairway, and I take better care of the course. Come on now. Now we're talking on the Puck show here, or the Mike Garafolo show, whatever we called it. And I got to pay full price.
What's the name of the golf course?
Skyway Golf Club. If people in the city, because there's not golf courses in the city, it's quick for them to come in to play a quick 9. It's the kind of place that you can play in March when it's freezing cold, but like you got to get out because you got to start swinging because summer's right around the corner. And then in the dead of summer, you can play there too. So you get a mix of people who live in Hoboken, Jersey City, like me, guys from Manhattan, and then you'll get like dudes from other countries who came to visit New York and brought their clubs with them. So one time I walk up to a guy, you introduce yourself at the beginning of each round, and I walk up to the guy and I'm like, "Hey, Mike," and I'm like, "Did you hit yet?" or something like that. Just no English, nothing. And it was like some kind of Eastern European country, but like not even just a hey, how you? Nothing. No
just
English.
no, just a dead stare.
Yeah. I think he was like Swedish or something. I don't know.
So, take me inside. Like when you get the phone call for people again, the video, the stories everywhere. He's in a round playing golf against Skyway Golf Club. Hey, Skyway, let's get a deal for our guy Garafolo. All right, some free golf. It's everywhere. He's talking about you multiple times. He's on the Rich Eisen show. So when you get a text. Again, it's everywhere. He's playing golf while breaking the story of Brandon Aiyuk. So when you break the story that Aiyuk has asked for a trade, you got a text or whatever from someone telling you this, and you report this during your round or before your round?
During. So I had gotten a word before I started, before I even drove to the course, and it was like, wait an hour, in about an hour, check back. You may be able to put something out. Blah, 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 whatever. Because Brandon apparently was fine with this getting out, and so I'd heard about it and checked with a few people and fine, whatever. So I knew it was going to be right in the middle of the round. So when I tee up on one, I'm like, let's just enjoy the peace while I can. So I did. Yeah. So get the go ahead. Now at the time I wasn't scheduled to be on the air that night, which out of courtesy, we've got an agreement between me, Rappaport, Pellicero. If somebody's got something and they're not on, let the guys know who are working, and then maybe actually work together or whatever. Because it's just weird, and it happens. But like you're on the air and you're like, well, according to my colleague Ian Rappaport, because it makes it seem like you're incapable of doing it yourself and whatever. I've gotten over it, but we just want to make sure that there's communication and nobody's caught by surprise on anything. Like that. So I let those guys know, and it was like, okay. So I said, let me just drop it, and then I'll just drop it and be gone. I'll just play the rest of my round, and then we heard from stations in San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and Washington, and I was just getting blown up. But meanwhile, I was handling internal NFL Network communication. I'm like, I can't. I'll get to them in a second. And then Tom comes in with, hey, I'm hosting the Rich Eisen show. Can you come on there? And I'm like, yeah, fine, no problem. But you're not interrupting my round at this point. So that was it. I said, I'll do that. And then once I'm off the course, whatever. We'll see if anybody else wants to do anything.
So do the producers, everybody at the Rich Eisen show, they know that you're playing golf? So when they call you up,
when they sent me, because I thought it was gonna be phoner.
Yeah.
They sent me the video link. I clicked on the Zoom link and I go, hey, this is gonna be video. Are you good with that? They're like, we're good with that if you are. I said, I'm fine with it. Doesn't matter to me, but it's going to look. And it adds, like, we're still talking about it. So it adds to it. It's better than the typical. I get that part. But
you made awful announcing. It was great.
Yeah, but it's not like I was doing that for shtick. I didn't want my round interrupted. And I also didn't want the round interrupted for the guy I was playing with who had no idea what was going on, by the way. Like, no idea.
Now, was this a rando or a buddy?
Yeah. No, it's a rando.
Oh, Jesus.
Because, again, this is the kind of place you're just going out to play 9 just to swing. And, like, sometimes spur of the moment, like, hey, I got 2 hours free. Let me just go real fast. And so I don't like to, I don't ask them what they do.
Did he know who you were, though?
No, he didn't know anything.
When you're doing this afterwards, is he like, what was that?
He didn't say anything. So, and during it, and you could during the interview, I'm saying, like, I think Alex is getting a little annoyed with, and he was not annoyed. He could not have been more chill. He was totally fine. But the etiquette of playing golf, and I was definitely violating several codes and doing what I was doing. So once I'm done, I'm like, and I don't mean to be like, hey, by the way, I'm on NFL Network, but I said, listen, here's the deal. I'm sorry about the last couple of holes. Here's what's going on. I'm with it. And what does he say to me? He's a Commanders fan. So are we getting Brandon Aiyuk?
There you go. All right. So what are the odds?
So to answer that question, as we get into some football here, I don't think they're great. I don't think, as I put that out there, and then Tom asked me about it on the Eisen show. It's like, I don't mean to, like, hey, boom, big scoop. Oh, by the way, nothing's going to change. I don't mean to do that, but I don't think that this is going to change anything. The 49ers have been clear publicly and privately. Remember around the draft, John Lynch at his press conference saying we don't plan on trading Brandon Aiyuk?
Yeah.
That's been their stance to this point. The only way he changes that is if he makes enough noise where they just go, yeah, you know what, enough of this. But I don't think he's going to. I don't get that sense. Now, does he pull the old hold in as opposed to the hold out, which was going to cost you money? Yeah, and, the 49ers seem like they have been willing to accommodate that. I like when teams do that. I like when teams say, we understand what's going on. We're not going to be hard asses. We trust you enough at this point in your career, whoever you are, that, you can prepare yourself without having to practice every day. Let's be reasonable about how long this is going to go on. Which actually, now that I say that, Bosa was a holdout. Bosa didn't even show up, if I'm not mistaken now. So he actually took it on the chin. With Aiyuk, it could be a hold in. I do like when teams accommodate, because I think it helps in the overall communication. Like, in the end, you want to get something done here.
Did they fine Bosa?
Yeah, they have to. So you have to. That's the problem, is once they did the new collective bargaining agreement in 2019, whatever.
Well, because the Seahawks went through this, though, they could fine him, but I remember, so they changed this, because I remember like when Chancellor or somebody else did it, they didn't have to fine them. And they chose not to in one case.
It was Cam Chancellor and somebody else.
So they changed that rule. Now you have to?
They did. So what happened was teams were forgiving it and players were holding out. And then they said, well, let's nip this in the bud at its highest level, which is the CBA. And what it did was it took the power out of the hands of the – hang on one second. This could be very important. Yo, buddy. Hey, I'm in the middle of a radio deal. You got it? Is this urgent?
It's not radio anymore.
I will call you right back. All right, back. What are you? I call you radio because I was like,
I know.
Are you podcast? Are
media? Media. We're big media.
Yeah.
New age media.
Yeah. So what they did was they said, we're going to write it into the CBA that these fines are mandatory in how much you're taking out, how often, per day and all this stuff. And they cannot be forgiven. So that's written into the new collective bargaining agreement. So they changed that to take it out of the hands of the teams who were, how much do we forgive? How much do we still want to hit this guy? I mean, I go back to 2007. Strahan, when I was covering the Giants, held out of all of training camp. And I believe at the time he racked up $500,000 worth of fines. They clipped it in half. They had him pay $250.
So, but this is like what Aiyuk is doing, right? This is just out of the Samuel playbook, is it not?
Yeah.
He did the same thing, didn't he? It was a holdout, or it was a contract thing, and then he was like, "Okay, now I want to be traded," and he just
it's like, and listen, I'm on Brandon Aiyuk's side on this one, and I'll say that because I mean, I'm as far as the financials go, because they offered 26 a year, the 49ers did. Other guys and the second tier of receiver were getting 28. So now you're talking Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown. They were right around that 28 number. Justin Jefferson's at 35. Jamar Chase is going to play in that level up there. CeeDee Lamb's going to play in that level up there. Brandon Aiyuk knows he's not there, but it's like, why would I be on tier 3 when tier 2 exists? And then there's tier 1, which I could even get between 1 and 2 potentially. And the 49ers are going to say, well, we've got a lot of other mouths to feed here, and we've got Purdy coming up. It's like, fine, that's not my problem. Well, you know what? Your stats don't net out the way that some of these other guys do. Yeah, but I don't get the same amount of targets as those guys. If I did, look at the production per target and those. So it's a back and forth in these kind of things. I don't know where it ends up. I know that the 49ers are confident that they have done this before with Debo and worked their way through it and are willing to stay patient. I believe that's what they're going to try to do in this one.
So who's tier 1 for you? Tier 1 wide receivers are who?
Justin Jefferson, who's already established there with his deal. CeeDee Lamb, who's going to say, I want that and then some, but in the end might have to just take something around there or even with Justin Jefferson. And then Jamar Chase as well. Those are the guys who are up now in the next, well, they're up. They're able to do a deal right now. And you would think that they're going to do them before week 1, if not the start of training camp.
Okay. And then tier where, so Aiyuk thinks he's in that tier 2. That's how he feels, right?
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I think that's, yeah.
Who's tier 2 then? Is that St. Brown and Tyreek Hill and those guys?
Well, Tyreek is going to be a little weird because his is going to be the 3rd contract for him, or maybe the 4th contract. I don't know how many extensions he's done. So it's going to be a tweak to what he's already got on the books. Whereas these guys, it's like it's an extension. They're coming to the end of their deal. Yeah. You extend them through whether it's their option year, their franchise tag year, where they're going to be free agents. Like that's their first big bite at the apple. So it's St. Brown, it's Jalen Waddle, it's Devontae Smith. Those are the guys that have done their deal at that number of 28. Now you could say, oh really, Brandon Aiyuk, you're going to get $26 million. How would 28 change your life? Obviously it wouldn't, but it's a matter of pride. It's like, this is what I've earned. Here's where I'm on par with these guys. Why would I take less than that?
Yeah, I get it. Is he better than Debo Samuel?
He's different. It's so hard. He's different, right? Like Debo's. Is he better?
Who's the better player?
Oh, God, that's so hard to say.
But Debo's a better player.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, Debo can do more for you, right? But Aiyuk, he's Mr. Take the top off the defense. We want to hit explosive plays with him. That's hard for me to say. It is.
Because Debo is at what, 23.8 a year.
Yeah, but Debo did it. Listen, you can go. Jordan Love pretty soon is going to be.
The market changes. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Love pretty soon is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. I believe that. Okay, Trevor Lawrence just equaled where Joe Burrow was. I think Love could surpass that, and I think it's going to happen soon. So you could say like, oh well, this guy. It's a game of leapfrog, and you just want to stay good as long as you can to continue to leap. That's the best way you do it.
Okay, so fast forward a year from now, are the Seahawks going to be in a situation like the Niners here with DK Metcalf?
Are they going to be in a situation like the Niners with DK Metcalf?
Because he's under contract this year and then 25, but then a free agent in 2026, and he'll be 29 years of age.
Yeah, I would think, I don't know for sure, but I would say that he's going to make a push, whether it's late this season, if not into the offseason. I mean, that seems like the right time to do that. Seems a little early to do that at this point, especially with the new coaching staff. And, let's see how you establish yourself with them and move forward. I don't know. I mean, it does seem early. And if I'm the Seahawks and they come to me with that, it's like, look, the best way I think to handle that is it's a little early. It's more to your benefit if we wait, because then you have more leverage. You're closer to the end of the. I would push it off into the offseason and say, okay, look, we're happy to address this after the season. Let's go out, let's ball, let's get this thing going on the with the new regime and the new coaching staff, and then we'll address it.
Where does he fall, though? How does the league look at him? I mean, do they look at him as a tier 1, tier 2 guy, tier 3? Like how does the league
1.5
DK Metcalf?
1.5, 2. I mean, he's a physical specimen, and how he's able to do that without eating is beyond me. I mean, I just ate lunch, and in the middle of talking to you, I'm getting hungry again. I mean, what's happening here?
Is he still just eating candy? Is that it? Is that the deal?
No, he has the one big meal a day, and it's dinner. Which I also don't understand. I've heard this from people before. It's like, oh, I've got an appetite, and I drink a coffee, and that takes care of the appetite. That makes me hungrier. Like the caffeine, and it's scientifically proven. I also feel that way. So he's like, oh, I just drink a coffee and I'm good. That's my breakfast. Dude, what?
Do we believe him? I don't believe him. I think he's BSing.
That's an interesting proposition. Maybe
think
he is.
Eating nonstop. Look at him. He's 6'4", like 240 pounds.
But why lie about it? Like, what's the upside?
None.
What do you gain?
I don't know. I wish I could do that. It'd be great.
You could not eat?
Yeah.
See, I enjoy eating. I like tasting food.
I think I enjoy.
We had this discussion when I was fasting for my blood test a couple of weeks ago. It's like, why would you do this? Why would you do this voluntarily?
Yeah, you look at him and you go. I think the thing with DK, and it would be interesting to pose this question, I think, to Seahawks fans, because I wonder what they feel about him. Because I mean, my God, you look at him, and I think most Seahawks fans, and I'll speak for him, would say that there's a lot of meat left on the bone with him. And now, whether that's a DK problem or a coaching philosophy problem, because I think people look at him and go, he could be so much more dominant. Then you look at his career stats and go, oh, it's pretty damn good.
That's what I want to. You got me looking at the numbers again.
Yeah.
It's, 66 for 1,108 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's not tier 1. But is that his fault or is that their fault?
I mean, is it the fault of anybody? Like, we know what Pete Carroll's philosophy has been, right? We know that he wanted to establish the run and kind of throw off of that. Does this open itself up to, which again goes back to our conversation of, if I'm the Seahawks, hey, listen, you may post the best numbers of your career coming up here.
Sure.
I guess the best season you would say was 2020, 83 catches, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. What if you get back to there, right? And even if you get the 12 touchdowns at 21, which the receptions and the yards were down, this could be the most complete. This could be your high from the touchdown category, and then you post that with the numbers the year before as far as the 1,300 yards. You put it all together, now you got a better leg to stand on when it comes to the contract situation. It could be. He's only 27. He's only 27 years old. So I think for him, it'd be wise. Play out the year, see what you can do here. Post your best numbers. They should be at the very least better than last year.
I mean, I think he could be top 5 in a lot of these categories.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, I don't know about receptions. I don't know what Ryan Grubb's going to look like and how his offensive philosophy is going to be. But, his career high in catches in 90. I think he could be in that 95 category. Could he break 100? But I think, top 5 in yards. I think that's the thing where I think he could be even more dominant. And I think most Seahawks fans would agree is the red zone. I think his touchdown number should be way up. I mean, I just don't know people who can cover him. He's so damn big.
Yeah, when you're that size and you have that quickness to go along with it. Yeah. See, this is where our buddy Jim Moore would ask me, what do you think about DK's numbers this year? He's got 65 and a half receptions.
He's back, by the way. He's back. We're doing my daily puck drops with him Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I said we'll sneak him on here. He's just doing 3 days a week. He's enjoying his kind of retirement life a little bit too much in Bend, Oregon. He's playing a lot of golf, but I said, hey, we need to sneak you on here with Garafolo.
He can do a 4th day during the season.
I think
even if it's we'll even give him a bye week.
Yeah, we'll give him a bye week. I think most Seahawks fans would say that he could be way more dominating than he is.
I could tell you feel that way because every time you bring him up, I can hear it in your voice. And you get to the point where you go, how much longer can they put up with him? I don't think he's a distraction. Like you've seen distractions, especially at the receiver position over the years. I don't feel like he's anywhere close to that.
I don't think he's the diva wide receiver off the field. No, I don't think he's that. I don't.
Even on the field? I mean, I feel like I watch enough Seahawk football. Maybe I missed a couple of moments that caught you a certain way, but
I think he needs to. I don't know. I mean, you cover these guys. I think football it's so hard. I mean, they are on that razor edge line.
They have to be.
Right, of being a lunatic and then trying to reel it back in. So I always try to have that perspective.
These guys are the best in the world at doing that kind of stuff, okay? And then a 10-minute cooling off period before the media gets into the post-game locker room. And then they're supposed to behave like normal human beings and give us their thoughtful answers to horrible questions, which I'll raise. I'm not saying like I.
Can you talk about the third quarter and what happened?
Oh, and from the press box, we sit there and go like, well, you could. It seemed like you guys really lost your edge and your intensity there as we got into, which is like there's X's and O's reasons for what happened and why it happened. I would, I go back to when I covered the Giants day in and day out as part of the beat. My gig's a little different now, but as part of the beat day in and day out, I still don't put myself in the upper echelon of people that know football. But I know I know a lot more than when I started. I knew nothing when I started. I mean, I played the game and I knew about it. It's not like I went and covered, cricket. I'd have to start from scratch. But going back and just thinking about the things that I wrote and the questions that I asked, I'm like, man, that could have been so much better informed.
It's an art form to ask a question. I mean, people don't realize that how difficult it is. It not so, the press conference situation or just at someone's locker after a game.
Yeah.
I don't care what sport it is after that team is lost. I mean, they are pissed off. They do not want to talk. No, they understand it's part of the gig. They're trying to get changed. They're half naked and they got a bunch of people circling their locker. It's the worst. I did it for football. I did it for baseball for a long period of time. And I'll be honest with you, I hate it. I mean, it's fun, but I hated it. I just thought it was so impersonal. Because you are in their little sacred space, and it's
oh my God, it hard. Is. And baseball, we're really going off on a tangent now. I know baseball is worse because they have there's no limited access, and they started coming earlier and earlier and earlier, and like now they're there at 2:30 in the afternoon for a 7 p.m. first pitch or whatever it is. And you're standing. I covered Griffey's. Ken Griffey was. I was interviewing for the Star Ledger to go cover the Giants, and they said, "How would you like to?" As part of my interview process, basically, how would you like to cover? He's in Philly and he's at $5.99 or whatever it is, and they sent me there to cover. Here he is on his, or maybe it was 500. I don't know. He was on some kind of historic.
He's playing for the
milestone
Reds.
Chase. Okay, yeah. And we're in the locker room for like an hour and a half. And he's playing cards. Yeah. And he's just sitting there and he's talking to his buddy. And we're just like milling around. And
it's the worst.
And he decides okay, now he's going to talk. Yeah. So now he goes and he sits and he's sitting there for about 10 minutes answering questions. And then he's done and he goes back to sitting with his teammates. And we're still just standing around milling around. I was like, I covered football. You guys, if you just shrunk that 3 hours to 30 to 45 minutes, he said, hey, this is going to be the media access.
Yeah.
Okay. They'll be happier because there'll be less of you. You'll be happier because you don't have to show up as early. It's more efficient. You'll get better answers. Like football at least does that. Baseball is just out of control with that.
Yeah, football is the best at it. All right, so Aiyuk, let's just put a bow on that one. And I want to ask you about Devante Adams. Do you think he will get traded?
No.
Okay.
I do not. Now, do I think he signs a long-term deal with San Francisco? Whether it be training camp.
It?
They can always afford it.
All right.
Can always afford. I mean, you may have to cut Debo, right? And maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're stretching this to the point where they do a deal with Aiyuk after the season and say, hey, we got to move on from Debo. From my understanding, they drafted Ricky Pearsall, and they felt like Pearsall, who's versatile, can do a little bit more of the Debo stuff than maybe some of the other stuff. So this could be their succession plan and saying, hey, let's just stretch this along with Brandon as long as we possibly can, get that deal done, move on from Debo, throw in Pearsall, and then have that cycle repeat itself when Pearsall's up for an extension in the next couple of years.
The life of the NFL. When's little man Brock Purdy available? When's he up for
next year? Next year. Yeah. So he's got one more year here, which is why I find it humorous that who are they saying recently made more than Brock Purdy? Somebody
probably Caleb Williams in college. Probably all these college quarterbacks.
No, it was
Michael Penix probably made more money in college.
No, it wasn't a football player. It was recently. Somebody was like, somebody made this, and that's more than Brock Purdy made. Oh, Bobby Bonilla. It was Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla got a check
by the Mets,
and he's going to earn more in 2024 than Brock Purdy will from the 49ers. Check back after the season when Brock Purdy's cashing a check for, I don't know, $80 to $90 million or something like that. So can they afford him? Yeah, they can always afford him. You can always make it happen. The question is, if they were in a different situation, if they weren't that team that was always up against it, needs to win a Super Bowl, maybe they make the decision to move on from him, but they need every piece they possibly
So you think in a year from now, we're still, you and I are still doing this. You're still playing golf at Skyway Golf Club and doing interviews a year from now.
Yeah.
Is Purdy then in line for the next big deal?
Yes.
God almighty.
Yeah. Why not?
I think he's a good player, but it's hard for me to think like that guy one day will be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Well, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months to start coping with that. 8 to 10. Oh. You better start because it's coming.
Oh my God, it's just crazy to think that. I mean, it's not. Listen, I don't think he's. I think there's some people that he's just a system guy and all that, and you take him out of there, he'd be terrible. I don't think that. I'm not necessarily think that he's like elite quarterback, but
yeah,
he's damn good.
When it works. I mean, when it works for what you do, and they had Sam Darnold there, right? Like, you know, they drafted Trey Lance. I mean, it's not like you can just throw Puck in there and that system's going to be humming. You got to have some kind of guy that's able to, and if he operates what the head coach who's going nowhere wants him to operate to its fullest potential, then that's worth all that money.
Devante Adams, what's going on? I mean, I didn't see the audio, but I read about it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is doing just like at the golf, that celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe is just basically saying, hey, yeah, I can't wait to play with him again. People are like, what? And then, what's going on with Devante Adams?
My understanding is that Rodgers definitely made it clear behind the scenes. Sure, he'd love to play with him again. But you know, he's not, despite what people think or what happened last year, not the GM of the Jets. And I think there's a lot less of that this offseason than there was last. I mean, last offseason was like, you know, blank checkbook for whatever you want, basically. And now it's like, okay, well, let's merge what you want with what we can actually physically do. And between the money and the draft capital and otherwise capital that they would have to give up to make it happen. Can you hear that?
Do I hear what?
Okay, never mind.
Sounds like a toilet being flushed.
It's a jackhammer right outside my window. Like,
I hear it now. God, the beauty of living in the city.
Make that 2 jackhammers.
Oh, I love it. We live right in the city, and every night, I don't know what's going on. It's like Beirut. I've got gunfire and sirens every night. It's just unbelievable. Here we go. Those poor guys.
They've been working on this.
How hot is it today?
It's not as bad as yesterday. Yesterday was much worse.
You know what? Today. Here's the thing. When we complain about what we do, if you ever complain, and it's okay to complain. Everyone complains about their job.
Yeah.
I would want you to go look outside and look at those guys and go. Yeah. And I'm not making fun. I'm not making any a bad remark about what they do. I'm just saying you could be doing that.
No, every time somebody says something about my job or we complain, hey, somebody's on a roof in 100-degree heat right now,
working their asses off, unlike us.
So, and I not that I'm the father of the year or anything, but they've been working on this street for what month is it? I think it's like 6 months, 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. And we thought they were done, and then they came back and it was like, you got the notices on the door that, you know, we got to come back and repave it. And I want to say it was back in March, and it was cold, or maybe it was April. It tends to still be cold. And I'm like, you know what? I think it was their last day of doing what they were doing at the time. We thought maybe the last day. So my girls were off from school, and I was like, you know what? Let's go get them coffee and donuts. So we got them coffee and donuts, and we brought them up. And hey, you guys, and most guys said, yeah, sure, you know, appreciate it, thank you very much. And one guy was like, man, I wish everybody was like this. I said, what do you mean? Because they were fixing the lines to each individual house, the water lines, right? And I know it's annoying, and this is like, who wants to hear this right now? But they're not doing it to annoy you. They're doing it because you need whatever they're doing. And the one guy goes, we were, up here, we're trying to fix the line, and the entire day harassing us. Like the owner was coming out of the house to just absolutely berate us and everything. And we're like, we're not here because we want to. So, and the guy's like, it's good for you to teach your kids that you need to have an appreciation for this kind of stuff.
Damn right. They got the Caleb Williams contract finally got settled. Is he representing himself?
Yes, he's got a team of lawyers, or a lawyer, a bunch of guys. Now he had Tony Agnone is a longtime agent, has repped a bunch of guys over the years, Michael Strahan being one of them, and he was working with him through the pre-draft process. They kept that quiet, but he was working with him through the pre-draft process. And I actually talked to Tony yesterday. I said, well, I thought you were going to do the contract too. He's like, no, I was just for pre-draft. They have their own team of people that was doing the contract. They wanted to do stuff with the franchise tag and limit what the Bears were going to be able to do with the franchise tag. In the end, they didn't get any of that. There was other language, some non-football language that needed to be approved, but in the end, they were able to get all that done.
Okay, I'm gonna watch it because you keep tweeting about it. But is the off-season Giants Hard Knocks a watch?
So good.
Okay,
so good.
All right, I gotta watch it.
So good
because I'm not really prepared to ask you what's going on because I haven't really watched it. I mean, from afar, it seems like okay. This is my perception of it. You tell me how close I am. Did they royally F up the Saquon Barkley thing?
No.
Okay, they did not. Okay.
No. And it's.
Are you surprised by how much access they gave them?
Shocked. Stunned. Okay. Because the Giants for years were anti-Hard Knocks. And John Mara had enough pull as an influential owner. The problem is now you've got 3 Hard Knocks. You got off season, you got training camp, you got in season. So you can't avoid it. At some point, it's going to happen. It's not. It is. I mean, but it's not.
You love it.
Here's what killed a lot of these shows. And the Amazon one, All or Nothing, was this. I mean, killed it more than anything because the teams release their own footage and their mic'd up stuff throughout the season. So half this stuff you've already seen, number one, and number two, the teams are given access to it. Plus, the teams are in cahoots with NFL Films, so they're able to stop certain things from seeing the light of day. The Raiders Hard Knocks a couple of years ago, Mike Mayock, media darling Mike Mayock, and I love him to death, was the general manager of the Vegas Raiders, or Oakland. Were they in Oakland? I think they were in Oakland at the time. Yeah. General manager of the Raiders at the time. You saw him in the background of a couple of shots. You never heard him say anything. When he went to release guys, you saw them walk into the office, and that was it. You didn't see anything inside. You didn't hear anything inside. It was like he didn't even exist.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can't have Hard Knocks that way. So a lot of the teams have been limiting these stuff. You go back to the Jets with Rex Ryan, not even just the meeting stuff, to get a goddamn snack part of it, right?
Yeah.
The going into the dorms and he was looking for Revis. He's like, hey, Revis, you in here? He's joking around. You don't see any of that anymore. So, for the Giants who have been anti-Hard Knocks, I was like, well, this is going to be a complete waste of time. And I'm telling you, they are showing you everything. And Joe Shane's got Ed Berry, Saquon's agent, on speakerphone. And you can hear him talking back and forth. And they really did a great job.
How does his agent feel about that? Does he know that that's being recorded?
So his agent, I don't know. I forgot to ask him. But I was communicating. His agent is Randall Cobb's agent. I was texting with him earlier today about Randall, and I didn't ask him about. I've been meaning to ask him about the Hard Knocks. Okay. I don't know. I would sense that he knew at least before the show aired. Now, I do know I talked to Giants guys who said we forgot the cameras were there. Completely forgot the cameras were there. Just acting and saying things as if they, which is what they want you to do, obviously.
Sure.
Which I've heard that repeatedly. But I found it funny last week. They released the trailer for episode 3. And Shane's on the board. He's writing on his aces. And I can hear him say, if I offer him, blah, 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 he'll be a Giant. But it sounded like, and the captions, which I don't know if NFL Films did their own captions on this, it said, I offered him, blah, 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 So people took that and ran with it and said, hey, the Giants offered him this, and the Eagles just came in with more money. And I was like, I know they never made an offer. So sure enough, you get to the episode and you hear him tell the agent, if I offer him, and he's writing on the board, then he'll be a Giant, and the agent will not give him that guarantee.
Yeah.
So he's saying, well, I'm not going to throw this offer out there and then have you shop it elsewhere. Doesn't sound like he wants to be a Giant anymore. So he basically never made that offer. They also, in that trailer, and John Mara says, I'm going to have a hard time sleeping if Saquon goes.
Yeah.
But they cut it at goes. And I'm like, I know the rest of that sentence is goes to the Eagles, but they didn't want to show you that in the trailer. So the people were like, was surprised by what I was like, I knew you could tell from the trailer what they cut out. Maybe I know too much because we were covering this closely. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to go watch. So there's 3. We're 3 episodes?
We're 3 episodes. I don't know how many total, but episode 4 is coming up. That's going to be the draft. And they've teased them at their draft meeting saying, hey, would you trade up for Jaden Daniels? And Brian Daboll goes, yeah, absolutely. So it's confirming what we knew all along, which is that they were in the quarterback mix.
Dude,
how
does that, I mean, like if you're Daniel Jones and you're like, what the F, man, what's going on?
Well, A, he already knew this is not anything that he's, but, and B, in the end, you want to help. See, it's a weird situation because if you're the Giants, NFL Films is something that you own, right? So if you're John Mara or Steve Tisch,
it helps
whoever,
everybody.
You're going, well, we'd like to not have this. We want to protect our own brand, but we also want to help the Hard Knocks brand, right? Like, it's just, this is why, never mind.
We need a Hard Knocks with you and
this is it.
Skyway and Skyway Golf Club. That's what we need, and your family and everybody. That's what we need.
The Mario's guys want to do a YouTube golf video with me, so maybe we'll go do it one day.
Do it at Skyway. Can't wait to see it. All right, you're the best. We appreciate the time. Mike Garafolo every Thursday here at pucksports.com. Brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance. Also Zogs on Fox Island. Next week we'll be talking about training camp. It'll be Seahawks will be on day 1. How about that?
It's going to be great. However, I got my schedule.
Oh, well, we'll adjust to you. We'll adjust whatever you got.
No. I don't mean that. It's just you're not going to see Seattle on there, unfortunately.
Of course
it doesn't
not.
look like
You never can make it. Unbelievable.
Enjoy Tom Pelissero, who elbowed me.
I'll go out there and say hi to him. And how about that?
Go get in his face like a manager who's just been ejected, right? How dare you not letting him? He kicks some dirt on his shoes.
I'm in. Yeah. All right, there he is, Mike Garafolo, again every Thursday on YouTube, also Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, and of course here at pucksports.com.